Hello everybody, Pinstripe here. Welcome back to some more IL-2 1946. Tonight we are here a part of the British Pacific Fleet just off the coast of Iwo Jima in our Supermarine Seafire. That's right, it is the Mark III. I'm here with a full squadron and it's chocks away getting off this carrier as soon as humanly possible, because if you wait too long then sometimes you can clash with the guy to the right of you and things can go a little bit crazy. But I will say it has been a bit of a difficulty curve, having played so many missions where I'm starting from an airfield that isn't moving on water to switching to the Navy setting. But we do get away. We do push our aircraft a little bit more than you normally would. I'm just getting used to the whole chocks and all that sort of thing. But we'll come back to that later, because right now on Iwo Jima itself, the Japanese squadron of Zeros are taking off and we're going to be intercepting them. Because as you can tell from said video title, things are going to go pretty damn well. We are technically meant to be escorting these F-6F Hellcats as they're going in for a bombing run, but Iwo Jima itself is currently heavily fortified, lots of AA gun positions. I myself am going to be avoiding going over the mainland just because it is very easy to be shot down. And I have my eyes on the fighters at the moment, because if we can eliminate these dudes, it will then be easier to attack said mainland, attack those gun positions, and for the Hellcats to do their job. But I'm not waiting for my squadron. We are meant to be taking the necessary vectors, but I was like, screw this, I know where you're at, I'm coming for you. So now I need to pick my target accordingly, because these Zeros are taking off in formation in a line. So if I slot myself in the middle of them, it's not going to end well for me. I'm going to be pummeled by bullets by the guy behind, so I need to pick my target as to who has a decent amount of space between them. You can see these guys down here are going to be much slower, so I pick my target and I stick with him. And as we come across to the left, a couple of shots missing, but we do eventually get some shots on target. And it's really a case of take this guy down, and then immediately turn your attention to the guy you have taken a mental note of before, because if you're going to hesitate at this point in time against Zeros, if you're not going to check your 3, your 6, your 9, then you're going to die. That's just how it goes, because the moment that you give the Zeros any kind of freedom or space, they are going to utilize that to the extreme. So you'll see here we're going to swing ourselves to the left once more, come down onto this second target, and continue the aggressive pounce, because we have the two 20mm cannons plus the 4 303s in the wings from the Seafire. So keeping up that aggression on other fighters is essential. Normally you'd expect there to be another Zero at this point in time behind me. When you see someone who's flying straight and slow, you expect there to be some kind of ambush, but luckily for me, not so much the case, and that guy just exploded entirely. You'll see just pieces of him behind me there, but immediately again I'm keeping up the aggression. You can see I've got a guy flying in here rapidly, so I'm going to push my nose up, get a few shots on him, and he is then trailing that grey smoke, so then he becomes my next target. This is target number 3. Within the space of barely 2 minutes we have taken down 2 Zeros, and I'm on to my third one already. We do have some guys that are heading on inland as well. They're going to be attacking some of those gun positions, but again, my brain is purely on the fighters at the moment and just making sure that I'm, again, checking 6, you know, keeping that in mind, but just not pulling the trigger every second, playing it smart, keeping that ammo, and then eventually cutting him to pieces just like the first target. But look at this formation startup by my wingman here. Absolutely crazy. You gotta love it though. So with 3 kills on the board, it's now time to go ahead and do what we actually came here to do, and that is to take out some ground targets. Now, I probably at this point in time should have sent my wingman back to the carrier based on the smoke that he is trailing. Granted, it's not black smoke, but he's not exactly in the most healthy state to then continue taking on AA positions and ground targets. But he seems raring to go, so I'm going to leave him be. He's going to head further inland, whereas I am going to head for the base of Mount Suribachi here. Directly below me are going to be some AA targets, but I'm not really able to see them. You'll see as we come in here, they're just sort of smudges on the ground, little models that you can't really tell what's what. So I pick out this vehicle here on the left who's all alone, and he gets blown to pieces. So we do get one confirmed ground enemy target destroyed, but that's really all I'm going to be doing as far as ground attacks go, because I can't tell what's what. Like, you can see here in closer detail, the gun position was further to the right, but I couldn't even see that. I couldn't tell. I don't want to be... No, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to gain greater altitude once more. We're going to fly back in the opposite direction, away from Suribachi, away from the gunfire, and keep an eye out for more Zeros, because as you can see, there are some more that have taken to the skies, and there are a few more that are just taking off for the moment, trying to get airborne. But you'll see here, sadly, that guy that is heading down to his demise and exploding is my wingman. So RIP to him. He is killed in action. Nothing I can do there other than to salute him and try and gain the next 2 kills that I need to become an ace here in the British Royal Navy. Altitude advantage, as always, is going to be very important, regardless of who it is you're going for. In this particular case, yes, I need it in order to dive down onto my target, but also to then avoid that shoreline fire, because as I come down here, I'm putting myself into the gun sights of the gun positions on Iwo Jima, and as my focus then turns to the aircraft, I'm not really thinking about any bullets that might be coming my way from said shoreline. So yeah, generating that speed is important. As for this next target, he does a good job in dodging the first few shots, but it's as he starts to climb up here. I don't know if he just completely didn't see the energy advantage that I had, but yeah, I'm able to get in real close, and as once more we are able to destroy the Zero completely via complete and utter just detonation via that 20mm cannon that we hold. Destructive. Yeah, it's always quite something when the enemy in front of you just completely explodes into many pieces. When you're not expecting it to, and you kind of have to maneuver yourself out of the way, it can get a little tricky. But those Zeros, man, just as they were in 1940/41, they will go up in flames at just the shortest of bursts. But anyhow, we are once again heading back towards Mount Suribachi because these skies aren't completely clear, and I am, of course, in need of one final kill as I pick out 2 more Zeros that are flying in a loose formation. But things get a little bit funky, as we'll discuss, coming down here with this altitude advantage, with the speed advantage, trying to get the drop on them, but kind of failing miserably because I end up with too much speed, missing these first few shots. But then as I come around, I ignore the guy that peters off to the left, go for his other wingman, but he increases his altitude and I overshoot, which initially you're like, oh crap, like you don't want to be in that situation where you've got too much energy and you kind of allow the Zeros to get in onto your 6. But luckily for me, just keeping an eye on where he ends up going, his wingman just disappears completely back towards Suribachi, and he is then going low. And little to my knowledge at the time, I didn't realize how soon this guy had actually dropped his landing gear and was coming in to the shoreline. I'm guessing to land or to ditch, I'm not entirely sure, but with a few short bursts as he drops down to 0 altitude pretty much, we get the clip on his wing and he falls into the drink. Now, despite getting the 5th and final kill, you'll see plenty of traces coming my way, which makes me take evasive action. almost redding out and dropping my plane speed completely, but just a little spin was needed. But as you'll see here from the replay, this is where the overshoot occurred, as his wingman just buggered off. I then go underneath him, but he immediately drops his landing gear. Now, I'm not sure if that was down to a technical fault, which a lot of the Japanese planes did have. Sometimes landing gear will just unexpectedly drop, but you'll get a closer look in a minute at the replay of the final kill. Even though we pick up that 5th and final kill that brings us the ace-dom, you can't quite help but feel bad chasing a dude that is just trying to survive and land. I'm hoping that even though we clipped his wing and he did fall into the sea, that it wasn't enough to take him out, that he did make it out safely. Let's hope so. But there is one single zero remaining in the air, who I do note is above me with that height advantage and is coming in pretty hot. So just keeping tabs on his location as I am heading back to the carriers, but thankfully he turns away and just remains over Iwo Jima. So the Hellcats have made their way back to the carriers as well, and it's now just a case of me trying to make it home and land safely, because if there's one thing that I desperately need practice on, it is these Navy landings where you're landing on a carrier, be it moving or not, because as I mentioned at the start of this video, everything that I've been doing in the majority of videos have been land-based, so when you suddenly switch to the Navy mode and attempt a landing, you can kind of tell where this is going towards the end of this video, because it's been a long time, probably not since I did the zero carrier landing versus the wind, yeah, it's been a long time. But factoring in your speed, factoring in when to bring down the landing gear and the arrest hook are vital, and my biggest issue, as I have had in the past with just land-based landings, is my speed. You'll notice my altitude as well. Everything in the bottom left is everything that you need to see as far as my speed and altitude is concerned, but my height is just way too high right now, my speed is way too much, and I think it's just the combination of trying to balance all these things as you come in to the target, to the landing spot. Said spots are visible on the landing deck of the carriers. On either end you'll see like a sort of a curved square, and that's usually what pilots would be using or aiming for as they're coming in. But as you can see from my approach, again, altitude not so great, speed not so great, and as you'll see from the view, we bring down both gear and arrest hook at the same time, but I end up flying over the carrier because it was like, oh, okay, yeah, nah, we're gonna go around for another pass, and just trying to get our bearings and keep ourselves in the right location. So yeah, we again just sort of rinse and repeat of bringing our speed up, swinging ourselves around, and as we come in again for the second attempt, this is where I can pretty much leave you with the rest of the gameplay, as you'll find out that things maybe don't go so well. Practice is needed, but I guess I can take solace in the fact that many pilots had this problem, in that this is really not an easy thing to do when you need to bring your speed below 100 kilometers an hour in order to land successfully. Interestingly, the arrest hook does reduce the rest of my speed that was needing to be kind of killed in order to land safely. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you later for plenty more IL-2 1946.